Hey, y'all, it's Thursday. It's time for another episode of the Late Night Vision Show. Thank y'all for joining us. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or anywhere that's audio-only version, please give us a like or a recommendation or a share. You can even share it to your socials as well. I know with Spotify, you can share those your favorite podcast right to your social account and post it on there. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. I want to introduce my good buddy and the co-host of the show, Mr. Jason Robertson. How's it going, bud?
It is going good, Hans. How are you today?
Good. We've got this is our second review in a row. Last week we reviewed the iRay Hybrid. Today, tell them what we got, and we're going to be showing them today.
Yeah, today we have got the Pulsar Talion XQ35 Pro. And we wanted to go ahead and push this review out. We have had this unit for a while. We've been testing it. It was a final production unit that we were able to get our hands on, I don't know, a month or two ago. So we've been using it for a while. I really like the unit, and we are being told that those units should be shipping any time, possibly even by the time this show hits this week. We're basically into the first full week of August. And so if they're not here when this show is out or when it's released, they'll be out or be here very, very shortly. We are hoping to have them this week. So it is the Pulsar Talion XQ35 Pro. And I'll go ahead and say this unit is $24.99, so right at $2,500. And I know there's some guys that are going to say, all right, hold on a minute. I know what a Pulsar Talion XQ38 is, and maybe I already own one of those or I've seen one. How is this different? What's going on here? So I'm just going to give you the quick rundown before we even get into the review of what is the same and what is different. So let's just talk about what's different, because that's a small list and that's going to be easier. Generally speaking, from the outside, you cannot tell the difference between these two unless you look at the little tag that says XQ35 Pro or XQ38. But there are a couple improvements. The most significant improvement is the fact that you're going to hear the Pro in the name. And what the Pro means is it means that Pulsar has upgraded the thermal sensor. This is a 384 by 288 17 micron thermal sensor. And what they've done is they've improved it to go to the sub 25 millikelvin NETD rating. Now, you go, wait a minute, you just said some big words there. What happens? Basically, what that means is that it's a new improved sensor that is more sensitive, so you're going to get a little better image quality, and what you're really going to see is when you get into the bad conditions, humid, wet, nasty conditions, that's where this lower millikelvin rating is going to really help you. It's going to cut through some of that, and that's where you see the real image quality improvement that's extremely noticeable. Also, they did put a better lens in it. It's got a 1.0 fast lens, so a little better lens. There's a new battery locking system. Basically, that's just that the battery compartment door locks in better. There's a little bit of a change with the battery. We're going to talk about that in a minute when I'm going through the specs. We'll kind of do that. And it seems like I'm missing something here. Oh, one thing I want to quickly talk about is you're going to hear it's a 35. You go, well, wait a minute, the old's a 38. This is important, guys. So the XQ38 was a 38 millimeter. This is a 35 millimeter. Immediately, the guys coming from the daytime world go, it's a downgrade. It's a downgrade. It went to a 35 millimeter. Guys, it does not matter. It does not work like you think it works. These are cameras. These are thermal optics. And the difference in those 3 millimeters makes no difference. And I can promise you this. You can put this 35 next to that 38, and this is a better unit. Okay, so I know there's confusion when people hear that. You try to bring over what you know from the daytime world, and it does not translate with thermal optics. So don't worry about that. Pulsar has already done this in some other optics, like their Thermion, the more expensive optic. The Thermion XQ38 went to an XQ35 Pro as well. Again, improved sensor there as well, improved image quality, over the previous XQ38. So I just wanted to say that. I've already had some questions about that of, oh gosh, it's a downgrade because the lens size changed. The lens is actually faster. It's a better lens, and those 3mm aren't going to hurt you. And the field of view stays the same. So with that, let's jump right on into the specs of this unit. Again, we're talking about the Pulsar Talion XQ35 Pro. As I mentioned, it is $2,499.97. Again, as mentioned, 384 by 288 thermal resolution, 17 microns, sub 25 millikelvin NETD rating. It's a 50 hertz refresh rate. It has a base magnification of 2.5 power. It does have digital zoom that goes up to 10 power. It's got an AMOLED display. That display screen is a resolution of 1024 by 768. It has a 56-foot wide field of view at 100 yards. I'm going to come back to one spec here. I'll bring it back around. They say it's got a 1,500-yard detection range. That is detection, not identification. When it comes to ID, this is all a matter of opinion, a matter of experience. I think Hans and I would say conservatively, realistically, a hog or a coyote, 250 yards, maybe even 300 yards in the right conditions. Larger animals, deer, maybe a really big hog or cows, whatever. I mean, 300 plus, very, very easy there. But I think 250 to 300 is going to be a safe conservative range for most people with a little bit of experience here with this unit. So very good image quality and ID range. It does have video and audio recording built in internally. It's got 10 reticle options. It has Wi-Fi streaming for the Pulsar Stream Vision 2 app, so you can stream right to your phone with that. It's got an IPS 6.7 rating. That means it's fully waterproof, submersible to 3 foot for 30 minutes. It's also fully dust proof. One nice thing about the Pulsars, we really like this, they have a very high recoil rating. So while most manufacturers are somewhere around topping out in that 308 caliber, Pulsar, all of their units are a 375 H&H or a 12 gauge shotgun. So that is very, very high recoil. So you should be good to go there. The unit does have a full 3-year warranty, and it weighs 29.5 ounces with the zero delta mount. And you go, what's the zero delta mount? Hans is going to show you that in a minute. That's just the mount that we're using with it. And he'll show you that so you can see what it looks like and show you the other mount options. Now I want to bring this back around to something we left off, and this is the battery. So this unit takes a fully removable, rechargeable Pulsar proprietary battery. I'm holding one up right here. It's called an APS 5, and this is actually a new battery that's called an APS 5T for Talion. All right. Now, let me tell you this: the runtime. Hans tested this. This is a straight turn the unit on, set it on the desk. Wi-Fi's not running, recording's not running. It's just sitting there, and he got about 7 hours and 45 minutes on it. I know that the Pulsar specs say 9 hours. Again, we got 7:45. I think out in the field, you're going to bring that down a little bit because you're going to be turning it off and on, recording, zooming, maybe using some Wi-Fi. But again, setting that baseline at somewhere around 7 hours, I think is very reasonable, especially since, we got in 7:45. Now, I want to just real quick try to talk about this battery so there's no confusion. It does come with this battery. The battery, if you want to buy extras, they are available. We have them at outdoorlegacygear.com. They are $79 a piece, and or $79.97, so $80. This battery is a little bit different than the previous APS 5s. So what came originally with the Talion XQ38 was this battery and this little thing. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try to hold it. It's this little adapter here, and these would slide off and on. And there were some people that were having trouble with that getting loose and coming off. So what Pulsar did was they have permanently attached these on the APS 5Ts. So that's what's going to come with your Talion XQ35, and this permanently attached works just fine with the previous Talion, all the Talions, the XG Talions, that's the 640s. It works with that too. So the only difference is it's just permanently attached on there. You cannot take it off. So if you are looking for a replacement battery, this is the takeaway. If you're looking for a replacement or a spare battery for any Talion that you own or will own, you want a Pulsar APS 5T for Talion. That's it. That's the takeaway. Costs the exact same amount as a regular APS 5. That's just permanently attached. All right, one more quick thing before Hans does the walk around. Guys, we want you to know something. We are so glad that you're here today to watch this show or listen to this show. We hope that you're interested in this review. If you have any interest in this scope or anything else, any other night vision or thermal optics, we would love to have your business. This is what Hans and I do for a living, as well as other salesman Ashley. Our three ladies in the office, we're expanding, our office staff for better customer service for you. We want to take care of you guys, and we would love to have your business. So you can give us a call at 877-350-1818. If you've got questions, you go, man, I don't know, maybe this Talion is the scope for me. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm looking at something totally different. We will be glad to talk to you, hear a little more about your situation, make some suggestions, and then when you're ready to make that purchase, walk you right through that whole process as well. This is what we do. We love doing these reviews, testing these scopes, but what keeps us going is the sales at Outdoor Legacy. So we would love to have your support there. So Hans, give them the walk around.
Amen to that. Thank you, brother. I will say thank you for doing all the heavy lifting there with the specs and the differences and even the middle of the show. The middle of the show sales pitch. I was wondering, I was like, man, it's 13 minutes into the show. I hadn't even got a chance to talk yet. So, but I'm glad to be here in the middle of the show showing up. And I always like you doing the specs because it takes a load off of me. But let's talk about what comes with the Talion when you purchase it, what comes in the bag. Jason mentioned the mount. We'll be talking about this mount later. This is the mount that comes with the optic. It is a very common, just nothing special about it. Just thumb screw bolts right here to mount it to an AR style rifle or a Picatinny style. Anything with a Picatinny, this will fit it. But it is a very basic mount, and we'll be talking about that soon. Does like Jason said, does come with a battery on it. It does come with a rubber eye cup that you can put on here. I'm showing it right now without it, so I prefer this optic without the rubber eye cup. And then comes with a charging base, the cables that you need, a very nice bag if you want to store it. If you like to keep it stored up in a padded case, it's got that. But what comes with the optic, obviously the bag, you get the standard mount, you get the charging base, the battery, the USB-C cords. You also get a lens cleaning kit with a little, I guess it's a microfiber little towel that you can wipe the lens with. But let's take a look at this optic. Like Jason said, if you look at this and you look at the Talion XQ38, just glancing at it side by side, you're not going to notice a difference unless you see the tag on the side. I'm pointing at the wrong tag. The tag on this side that shows the Talion XQ35 Pro, but hinge loaded or spring loaded release on the objective lens cover. You got your blue power button right here in the very front. I love the Talion, that little turn wheel. Jason,
that's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. You got your menu button, you got your record button. When you get into the full menu, this dial actually turns, which goes through the menu. Very cool design. Eyepiece diopter focus. You've got your objective lens focus. It just turns up here by the bell of the optic. And then this is the Zero Delta, the very high quality, very good return to zero locking quick release mount that we sell with this scope. And you're going to want it. I'll just say that.
We don't sell it with it. You mean we sell it as an option? I just want to be clear. Like, it doesn't come with it.
We're not giving it away. No.
It's that is a high-end American-made, very good mount.
Yeah. So you can purchase that additionally, and like I said, you're going to want a good mount.
And let me
Based on
say one more quick thing. Interrupt you, Hans. You can also use the Pulsar QD mount. So Pulsar has a very small, quick detach mount, $99. It does work. We've used it for a whole lot of optics. And what people say, well, which one should I get? And I think this boils down to where you fall in, the little Pulsar QD mount is about the same size as that. It's $100. It works. It does the job. It returns to zero. Some people say, you know what? I want something made in America. I want it machined well. I want it to be high end. I want to know it when I pick it up. That's the Zero Delta. It's $250. It's the real deal. It is the best design mount. It's so anyway. I'm just going to make the point that if that's what you're wanting, then the Zero Delta is there. If you say, hey, you know what, if I can do kind of the same thing for $100, I'll do that. Then we've got that mount as well.
I mean, these Zero Delta mounts with the spring loaded, you push this spring loaded bolt in, and it's really, really easy. I mean, as far as getting it off and on, very quick and easy. I will say that. All right. Well, let's do the likes and dislikes, Jason. Let's talk about that. And then we're going to get into, I know if you want to see video through this and you're listening to us in the car, go check out the YouTube video because we're showing a ton of video with it. But let's talk about the likes and dislikes. We're going to get into general thoughts. We're going to talk about if this optic is worth the upgrade. If you own the Talion XQ38 now, if you need to upgrade to the XQ35. So we'll be talking about that. But let's start with the dislikes. I'll start because I think that I always make you go. But I would say the mount that comes with the optic is probably one of the bigger negatives on it. Now, it's thank goodness it comes with a mount, so thank you, Pulsar. But it is not a QD mount. Like I mentioned, you're going to want an upgraded mount. It is a basic mount that
exception to the rule is the bolt action guys, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say definitely with bolt action, but you're going to want an upgraded mount with this optic. Especially if you are taking this on and off a bunch, or if you want to use it as a monocular, you can do that, but I would definitely get an upgraded mount. The only other, negative, I wouldn't, there's not a lot. I do think there's some improvements here. I guess the only thing that we can nitpick about, Jason, we talk about removable batteries and internal battery. This is a removable battery. I guess maybe it's, Pulsar on their spec sheet says 9 hours, and it was actually in our test 7 hours and 45 minutes, which, like you said, in normal running conditions, it'll probably be less than that, and especially cold weather will be less than that. But still 8 hours is a good run. It's good run time on a single battery. You can't complain about that.
So, I think that I would say, agree with you here. We're always going to complain a little bit just because we try to stay consistent. We'd love to see non-proprietary batteries. I think there's some issues we've run into with some non-proprietary batteries with consistency. So I think that's what Pulsar is trying to do here, is they're trying to keep the experience of the user consistent because they control the batteries. And there's something to that. Okay. We have seen some issues with, 18650s or generic batteries where it's, you're just buying random batteries. And if you don't get a good brand, you don't know what you're getting. So, I think it's okay. The fact that it is fully removable is a big deal. I really like that. I think one thing, Hans is right. Okay, the battery life may not be what it says on the spec sheet, but at the same time, I'm going to tell you something. Getting 7 hours and 45 minutes off of a single $80 battery is very, very good. Okay, so you stop and think about that. You pick up a spare battery for another $80. You're basically going out there with our bench test. You're going out with 15 and a half hours of runtime. Bring that down even in cold weather, and you're talking about maybe 10, 12 hours of runtime. Good gosh. That's a full night for anybody in the coldest conditions. So I think the battery life, I've already switched over here to the likes. I think the battery life is really, really good on the unit. I think some more likes for me is going to be the size of this unit. It is very small. It's easy to hold in your hand. If you want to use this as a monocular, if this is something you want to take off and I had a guy tell me, he's like, I'm really looking at this unit hard because I want to take something with me deer hunting just for scanning around, maybe finding a deer if I shot it out in the field. I'm not going to have a monocular. And he was like, I want something pretty small. He goes, will this fit down in my hunting bag? I was like, man, this thing will just slide right down in there. You wouldn't even know it was there. So I do like the size and the weight of it. Hans already mentioned it. I like that little scroll wheel on the rear there, how you kind of move through the menu. It's actually really ingenious. It works really, really well. I like that a whole lot. So, again, size, weight, the scroll wheel, the battery life, fully removable battery. There's a lot to like here.
Well, and not to forget the price.
The price and the image
$2,500, $2,500 for an optic that is very good quality with, again, rechargeable batteries and all the video and audio, the Wi-Fi. None of the features have been skimped on compared to some of the other Pulsar models. So, I mean, you're getting a whole heck of a lot of good features in a price category that still, is considered entry level. So yeah, they've put and continue, and they're continuing to upgrade this. They had the Talion XQ38. They've upgraded this, put a new sensor in it, but the price is exactly the same as the previous model. So
okay, Hans, let's spin off of that. So I'm going to ask you this question straight up. So you got guys
this
watching
on the script.
This is not on the script. So you've got guys that are sitting there that already own the XQ38. And I'm gonna double question this here. I'm gonna get you 2 in 1. So you got guys that already own the XQ38, and they're like, "You gotta be kidding! I just bought this thing. So do I need to go trash mine and buy a new one? Is this a huge upgrade? Am I rookie dude here? Do I need to upgrade?" And secondary, what about this? What about the guy who says, "Well, hang on a minute. I found the XQ38 out there. Somebody still got it, and maybe it's on sale. Should I just go ahead and buy the XQ35 for $2,500? Maybe somebody's got the XQ38 for a few $100. What do you say to those two answers? 2 questions, but what do you say?
Yeah, it's a good question, and you may either disagree a little, or you may.
Oh boy, well, this is off the script, so we're gonna find out.
So what I would say is that the difference between the XQ38 and the XQ35 Pro, where you're going to see the biggest difference is in areas and in climates where there's a lot of humidity. I think that the Pro sensor has proven with the Thermion Pros that have come out that it does perform better in conditions that are not ideal or considered ideal. I think, though, I guess the answer to the question is yes or no. If I do not think that the XQ35 Pro, and this is where we might disagree, I don't think it gives you a further ID or detection range. I don't think you're going to see or notice anything, a much difference there, unless you're in high humidity. So I would say if you're in Florida, if you're in Louisiana, Texas, all the areas that a lot of moisture in the air, high dew point, and you find yourself struggling on those nights with your Talion XQ38 to really get a good ID on an animal, it might be worth the upgrade. I would say if you're happy with your Talion XQ38 and it does everything you need to do, then no, you probably don't need to upgrade. But I would say, like I said, I don't think you're going to see any huge improvement with ID and detection range. But I do think that it definitely helps you on nights when there's a lot of moisture in the air. So
I agree. Now I'm going to answer the question that you skipped over, and that was part 2, and that was, hey, what if I, should I not even look at the XQ38 if I still find one out there, whatever? Because I know there's some floating around. My answer to that is it depends. I think that if it's, if you're saving $100 or $200, I probably wouldn't. I would probably go on to the newest model. I do think that there is a couple $100 of difference, in my opinion, of improved image quality. So, I would say go on to the new one. I think if the deal's good enough, if it's like ridiculous, then there's nothing wrong with that. I know there's a lot of guys who don't like the idea of buying something that is discontinued already. It's like, I don't, I mean, why would I want to do
Yeah.
that? I want to buy the newest model. There's other guys, they're like, you give me a good enough deal and I don't care. It was on the market,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. You give me a big enough sale on it, I'll take it. So I think that's up to you. I think you just, I think you need to decide if the price is good enough for you to justify it. But I do think, like Hans said, if you're in really, really bad conditions, really poor conditions all the time, if you feel that your XQ38 is struggling, then it might be worth the upgrade. If you're happy with your scope, I would not. I will tell you, this is something we'd like to do. I did run the XQ38, one on one eye, one on the other. And I tell you what, this was actually kind of fun doing this because when you take two scopes, and if they're different, if they look different, I'm holding them. I know which one is which. But these two units, I took the XQ35 and an XQ38 out of the box. And again, without reading that little tag, you don't know which is which. I took those things, I took them home, and I set them in there on top of my gun safe. And that night, when I went out to go run them side by side, I picked them both up. I had no idea which was in which hand. I even switched them around in my hands a couple times to make sure I was confused. Walked outside and put them on my eyes, one on each. I mean, literally, because I'm thinking this is a true Pepsi Coke challenge right here.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was a really good night. I mean, for summer for here, it's hot. It was pretty dry. We didn't have the humidity we'd been having, and I knew which one. I was pretty sure was the XQ35. I was like, this is. And I mean, but I'm thinking it's the first time I've looked. This I could be wrong. Like maybe the XQ38's better, but I'm like, this is the better one. Okay, this is a little bit better. It's not wildly better, but it's a little bit better. And so I went back inside. I'm holding my hand. And I looked down, and it says XQ35. So that's what I did. I put it back up, did the same thing, swapped them all around, and I went back out like the next night. And humidity was really up a little bit after dark, and it was nasty. And when I put them up that night to my eyes, it was very clear. There was no question. Like, okay, I know exactly which one I could. It was definitely cutting through that humidity. So anyway, there is a difference there. I think another question we always like to go over is who is this unit good for? Who's it not good for? And my opinion on this is that it's fantastic for pretty much most any hog hunter, with that 2.5 power base mag, unless you're just really getting in there super close and, doing everything at 30, 40 yards, you don't need the extra, maybe half a power, then, okay. But most hog hunters, it's going to be good for if you're doing most of your shooting in that 250 and under. And I would say really 2.5 power. You want to keep most of those, your average shot under 125 yards. Right. But again, it's very capable if you need to shoot out there further. I think for some coyote hunters, it will work well. I think, again, you want to be, if you're a coyote hunter with this, you want to be keeping your shots a little bit closer. I don't think your average shot needs to be 150 yards and you buying this 2.5 power scope. I think you would be much better off buying a minimum of a 3 power. If you're really doing a lot of 200 yard stuff, then you might even want a 4 power scope. But I would say that it needs to be for that person whose average shot is going to be below that 125, 150. I mean, really under 100 is going to be more ideal for your average shot. Although, as Hans and I've said here, 250, maybe even in some perfect condition, reaching out there to 300 could be possible with the scope. So that's kind of my opinion on who it's good for.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And I think that, with the price point at $24.99, there's a lot of people, Jason, as you know, you and I know, when they call in, they seem to say, a lot of them are like, hey, I need an optic under $3,000. And I coyote hunt and I hog hunt and, my ranges are under 200 yards. And, that Talion model, even the previous one, it checks a lot of the boxes for people that are just trying to get out and have fun. And, they're not... It is for a serious hunter, and if you're doing it, several times a week, this is something you can do. But guys now are getting out in the fields and trying to clear out hogs off property for deer hunting and trying to clear off coyotes, that are chasing deer around. But I'd say at that 2.5 power range is perfect for just a lot of things. Just a very general starting point. Now, I want to go back real quick to what you said about, finding an XQ38 for sale and if it's worth it and all that and buying this. I generally, and I think you're right, it does depend on the price. But I really, the idea of just spending good money on an older or discontinued model, it would have to be a big discount for me to want to be able to do that. And like you said, but if you're looking to buy one new or looking to buy the latest and greatest, I mean, definitely the XQ35 Pro is going to be a better option just for if you're in a bad weather area or high humidity area. But that was it.
So, talking about this unit just a little bit more, kind of the general usage of it, and I kind of want to go back to this magnification. Pulsar is one of the only companies who has some scopes in that 2.5 power range. That's kind of it's a weird no man's land because most manufacturers are going to be at 2 power or 3 power. And I kind of like the 2.5. I think it splits the difference a little bit, but I want to say this. As a hog hunter, and I do primarily hog hunting, if you are, if you're in the South and you're in the brush and you're maybe in the woods and you're hunting down log roads or log sets or small food plots or whatever, if you're doing that, you might actually not want the 2.5. The half might be a little bit too much for you, especially if you get in the woods. But again, if you get in a normal size field and you're shooting again normally over 30, 40 yards, not that you can't shoot closer. Okay, you're gonna narrow that field of view and just have a lot of magnification if you're at 10 yards. But the 2.5's okay there. But I would say that I'm just kind of bringing this back to this. I was thinking about this magnification. What I don't want is I don't want a guy who is shooting nothing but coyotes and they are all at 75 or 100 minimum. I don't think this is the right scope for that. I mean, the 2.5 is close, but it's just not quite there. I think when you get into that 3 power, I think that's going to be a little bit more of a benefit to you. But what I do like about the 2.5 is the guys who, Hans, we get this, and this is kind of where I fall into a lot of times. I'm primarily a hog hunter, but if a coyote runs out, he's not going to get a freebie, I mean, or we may, the hogs aren't around right now. Let's go out there to that pasture and go call some coyotes tonight. Cause we're tired of sitting here, no hogs on the corn piles. You still do have that little extra half. You are splitting the difference. So I would say, that's going to be better for you than the 2 power when you go out there into that big field. And maybe you do have to shoot one at, 250. I think you're going to be able to do that better. And I do think this image quality is a little bit better than some of the competitors in this $2,500 price range. So I think you're going to have a little further ID range plus the little extra magnification might get you that extra 50-yard shot that you couldn't take with some of the other optics.
Mm-hmm. I believe you are right, sir. So, have we wrapped this up? Anything else you want to talk about?
I think so. I mean, have we left anything out? We've told them about the price, told them about the features, told them how good it is.
I don't think so. But
I know you got some video I know you've shown in here. Guys, if you're listening to this on one of the audio only versions and you want to see not only what the optic looks like, but kind of what image quality you can expect, jump over to YouTube. I know we put the video on Spotify as well. You can watch it there, but on YouTube, it's all the videos there. We've got video that both Hans and I got out in the field with this thing. So you can kind of get some idea of what, hogs and animals are going to look like at some different ranges.
So if this gig doesn't work out, Jason, I think I'm saving all these clips and stuff, and I'm going to send them to like National Geographic and see if I can get to be a videographer for them. Because I'm getting close. You better
hope
hogs,
this gig works. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly right. So if you are looking to purchase the Talion XQ35 Pro or any Pulsar thermal scope, you can give us a call 877-350-1818. You can talk to me, Jason, Ashley. You can pause this video in the middle of it and give us a call if you want to. Or if you want to check out, some more more videos, more optics, if you want to kind of see how this compares to other things, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it, and we'd love to earn your business. If you're looking for past episodes of the Late Night Vision Show, thelatenightvision.show.com. If you want to search for past episodes, the best way to do it's on YouTube. We send a lot of people that call in and want to know about scopes. We send them to our videos quite a bit so they can get a chance to see what the optic looks like and what the videos look like. And the best way to do that and to search for them is on YouTube. So if you want to know, if you want to see this and then go look back at the previous XQ38, Talion XQ38 review, just go to YouTube, type in the Late Night Vision Show Talion XQ38. If it doesn't pop up, that means we have not reviewed it, or we don't sell it, or it's something
or
in
the
between.
YouTube results are bad or something.
Yeah. But that's one of the best ways to find it. Now, if you want to find Jason on his social platforms, you can find him on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube at Outdoor Legacy. You can find Ashley Rowe on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. That's Row ETX. And then you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Hans ETX. This has been episode 275. And who knows what next week brings? Nobody
That's
knows
right.
at this point, but it'll bring something, I promise you.
Guys, we got some more optics coming. Pulsar has got more optics coming. We've got the brand new high-end thermal handhelds, the Telos. They're going to be replacing the workhorse of the handheld line for Pulsar, which is the Helion. These units are incoming. They're coming in very soon, hopefully before the end of August. We're going to have the Telos XP50. It's going to be $3,500, and you're going to have the Telos XP50 laser rangefinder LRF model. It's going to be $4,039.99. We are anticipating those coming very soon. We're taking back orders with a $250 deposit. If you're watching this and this may be months down the road, those units are probably already here. We hope to have them in stock very soon, but be watching. We're going to be reviewing those this fall. I think there's some more cool stuff coming. We're very excited about. Guys, if you're looking for the latest and the greatest in night vision and thermal optics, rest assured you're going to see it on this show. If you're looking for the latest breaking news in the industry of what's going on and where the industry is going and what the manufacturers are doing, you're going to see that on the show. Also, we're going to take some time. We're probably going to do it maybe next week where we don't do a review. As you'll see, a lot of the shows we go into and we talk about, we answer questions that you have, or we talk about topics of, how we do things, or what our opinions are on things, and you may disagree, and that's cool. We don't care. We try to put interesting topics out that are, not just reviews. So all of that is here on this channel, and we hope that you can find something that you enjoy here. So between now and next week's episode, we hope y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.